Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're going to completely dismantle basically everything you thought you knew about getting stronger. Seriously, if you've been grinding away in the gym, chasing that extreme soreness, and just wondering why your results are suddenly stalling out, well, you're in the exact right place. We're breaking down the absolute blueprint for hypertrophy, and we're basing it entirely on the latest science.
Okay, let's just dive right into this immediately with a pretty jarring truth. You do not build muscle at the gym. I know, right? The gym is actually where you break your muscles down. The actual building, that happens later. It happens while you're sitting at your desk, while you're sleeping, while you're on the couch doing absolutely nothing. And the huge problem is most people are completely screwing up that exact part of the equation. This right here brilliantly illustrates the reality of hypertrophy. The gym is literally just where you apply a load to break muscle fibers. Sitting at your desk or sleeping in your bed, that is where muscle protein synthesis actually happens. But most people obsess entirely over their gym routine on the left, while completely mismanaging the right side, which is where the actual growth takes place.
So that brings us to section 1, tension over muscle damage. Let's look at how your body actually knows it's time to grow. When you train, your brain sends a signal. Your motor neurons fire and your muscle fibers contract. And when the load is heavy enough, your body has to recruit bigger, more powerful fibers to handle it. But here is the fascinating part. When that muscle fiber is under a heavy load, especially as it's lengthening, it physically deforms. It actually changes shape. The fiber senses that tension and triggers a specific molecular signal called MTC1. This signal is basically a direct order given to your body to start building new, bigger muscle proteins. And that process, that's hypertrophy. Now, what's really incredible is this recent data out of McMaster University, which, by the way, is one of the top sports science programs in the world. Their 2025 review confirms that your muscle actually doesn't need to be torn to grow. It just needs to be loaded. It completely proves that chasing severe muscle damage or the ultimate pump is actually a massive waste of your energy. It's the tension that does the work, not the damage you're so eager to flex in the mirror. So the absolutely crucial point to take away here is that the soreness you've been chasing like some kind of badge of honor, it's literally just inflammation. It's your body's internal cleanup crew handling the mess you made. That is not a growth signal. Think about it. Marathon runners are totally destroyed for a week after a race, but they don't bounce back with massive bodybuilder legs. The construction crew, which is muscle protein synthesis, is what actually executes that MTC1 signal to build. Moving on to section 2. The 48-hour growth window. If the construction crew is doing the building, we need to know exactly what their schedule looks like. Your workout officially starts at hour 0. Now, muscle protein synthesis, again, the actual building process, peaks right around 24 hours after your session. But by hour 48, it is basically completely back to baseline. The window is shut tight. The construction crew has packed up their tools and gone home, even if the cleanup crew is still making you feel incredibly sore and stiff on a Thursday. And this perfectly reveals a massive mistake so many of us make. If you're doing pull-ups on a Monday, and then you're not touching your back muscles again until the following Monday, your muscles were growing for exactly 2 days, and then just sitting there doing absolutely nothing for 5. Training each muscle twice a week isn't just some minor nerdy optimization. It's literally the difference between leaving massive gains on the table and maximizing your 48-hour windows. You're doubling your active growth time.
All right, section 3. Master the lowering phase. Now that we understand the timeline, let's zoom in on the exact moment inside a single rep where you're probably failing your muscles.
40%, your muscles can actually handle about 40% more force on the way down than they can on the way up. The lowering phase of a pull-up, or say the descent of a heavy dip, that is where the tension is at its absolute peak. That is exactly where our growth signal, MTC1, gets hit the hardest. But most people treat the lowering phase like it's just some annoying commute between reps, right? They drop down super fast, pull up again, and count the rep. But honestly, the rep you just counted, your muscles cared most about the part you just rushed through. You've got to stop treating the eccentric phase like a commute. Step 1, pull up. Step 2, lower yourself slowly for a minimum of 3 seconds. I promise you, if you make this one single change to your reps, your gains are going to go completely bananas. Let's move to our final section, sleep and raw materials. Let's see how this all builds into the most critical part of the entire equation, what you do when you actually leave the gym. Just take a look at the data from this fascinating study. They had 2 groups eating the exact same diet, both on a calorie deficit. The only difference whatsoever was how much they slept. And the results? The sleep-deprived group lost 60% more muscle and 55% less fat. Same exact food, completely different results. This definitively proves you absolutely cannot out-diet terrible sleep. You can track your protein down to the microgram, but if you're only sleeping 6 hours and scrolling on your phone until 1 a.m., you're literally destroying your own progress. Sleep is half the recovery equation. And the penalty for bad sleep? It's steep, and it's immediate. Just one single bad night of sleep reduces your muscle protein synthesis by an astonishing 18%. We're not talking about a week of bad sleep here, just one single night. But what's even scarier is what happens to your hormones. Just 1 week of sleeping only 5 hours a night drops your testosterone levels by 10 to 15%. To put that into perspective for you, that is the exact same hormonal decline you would expect from aging a full decade condensed into just 1 week. Sleep a minimum of 7 hours. This isn't just a cute lifestyle tip. It's literally the environment where your growth happens. Okay, so let's say your sleep is totally locked in. The other half of the equation is your protein. MTC1 just told your body to build a new muscle, right? But it desperately needs raw materials to do it. The big issue here is studies show people consistently underestimate their food intake by up to 50%. You might think you're eating 2,000 calories, but you're actually eating 3,000. You think you're eating enough protein, but you're just not. So the crucial takeaway is that if you're just guessing your macros, that growth signal fires and nothing gets built. You've essentially hired the construction crew but completely forgot to deliver the bricks and mortar. To actually fix this raw materials issue, you need accuracy. As the source material points out, an adaptive nutrition app like MacroFactor fixes this whole problem beautifully. It tracks your food with really easy photo logging, it learns your unique metabolism, and it dynamically adjusts your targets every single week based on how your body is actually responding. It builds the plan around you, not the other way around. And hey, if you want to dial in your materials, you can even use the code YELLOWDUDE for a free 14-day trial, exactly as the source recommends. Finally, we have to tie this whole thing together with progressive overload. Remember, doing the exact same bodyweight pull-ups forever and ever, that is not progressive overload. That is just maintenance. Your muscles require increasing tension over time to keep triggering that MTC1 signal. True progressive overload demands pushing harder. That means utilizing harder variations, slowing the descent down with those brutal 3-second eccentrics, or throwing on a weighted vest to up the ante. Which brings us to our final and definitely most important question. Are you ready to load them, feed them, and then get out of the way? Because ultimately, the next time you limp out of a gym session thinking you completely crushed it, you probably did. But the crushing part is over. What happens in the next 48 hours is the entire game. Your muscles do not grow just because they hurt. They grow because you trigger the signal with tension, supply the exact raw materials through accurate nutrition, and give your body the deep rest it needs to do the actual work. So, what's it going to be? Will you let your construction crew do their job?